going to be making smoothies, so Endo Fertility smoothies. I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes for people to check in, make sure that they're, yeah, we've got somebody there. Okay, that's great. Welcome, whoever that is. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to be talking about smoothies. The reason why I love smoothies so much is they are great for reducing inflammation, which us ladies with endometriosis will likely have a lot of inflammation for various reasons depending on the root cause. Hi, someone's just said hello. I can't read that from here because my phone's too far away, so yeah, thank you very much, you're in. Another great reason why smoothies are great is they provide fibre, so unlike juices, they have a lot of fibre, which is fantastic. So there's lots of reasons why I absolutely adore having smoothies. They're great on a daily basis. I don't always get to have them. It is good if you can have them on a daily basis, but you don't need to be perfect about it. So hopefully you can see it all. I'll basically bring everything into the middle, but I have got, what I'm going to do today is going to make two different types of smoothies. I've got a green smoothie, well it's a green-red smoothie because it's got beetroot in it and it's really good for detoxing the liver. I don't know whether any of you saw, I did a sort of Instagram story which had beetroot in there, which I'm going to do there today. And then I've got another one which is more creamy banana chocolate. So for those people who like that chocolate, this has got a great chocolate hit to it, but it's also full of nutrition and goodness, because I wouldn't send you down a path that wasn't full of goodness, which is great. So we're going to start off with the chocolatey one. So what we're going to do today is we've got, first off, if this one's quite good for breakfast, it's got a bit more substance to it, so I use oats as a base. If you've got insulin resistance, then it's worth either cutting out the oats completely or just only having a little bit and making sure that you've got cinnamon in there. So what I'm using today is I've got a NutriBullet. There's different ways that you can make smoothies. This for me, I find is absolutely great because I can actually travel with it anywhere. And then I use the large smoothie maker cup, and then there's also a little one. I did actually just have a frantic realisation that I'd actually broken my smoothie cup and I had to run around to a neighbour to go and get one, which was a bit crazy. So I'm going to add about half a cup of oats at the bottom here. Brilliant. Hi Sarah, nice to see you. I could just about read. Being my age, I'm a little bit short-sighted, I can't see that from far away. Right, so we've got some oats in there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to add in some vegetables. So I've got some broccoli that's just left over. So what I do is I add about 1 to 2 cups of veg in here, and because it's a sweet sort of breakfast one, you won't even notice that they're in there. So the intention is these ones are sort of the hidden veggies, and it's a really good one to feed children because they won't even know. You just cut them up. You don't have to cut them up, you can just bung them in. So I've got a bit of broccoli. Broccoli is really, really good for endometriosis because it's rich with DIM, and it's great for phase 2 liver detoxification pathways. I've got some here, I don't know whether you can see, I've got some frozen avocado. This is a really good cheap tip, frozen avocado, because if you might not have a ripe avocado ready at all times, it's great to pull out of the freezer just for smoothies. So I'm going to add this lump of avocado, and it's really good because you can't taste the avocado and it's got so much goodness. The main thing is it's full of healthy fats, and if we're trying to get pregnant, healthy fats are fantastic. We want to up our omega-3s and we want to reduce our omega-6. So avocado is full of omega-3, not 6, full of omega-3s. What else am I going to add in here? Because what I do is I kind of see what I've got in the cupboard. So as I said, it's about 1 to 2 cups full of veggies. I've got a little bit of kale. I could add that, but it might be a bit strong for what I'm going for. If I had some spinach, I would add some spinach because it's not as strong. For this one, I'm just going to add a little bit. Now this is frozen kale. Quite often what I do is I leave a bit fresh in the fridge, and then I will actually freeze some. So it means that it's and I'll freeze it on the day that I get it. I wash it, I dry it, and then I'll stick it in the freezer, and you can easily get it out. So again, it's a really easy way of having those fresh vegetables available when you need them, and you can do that with spinach as well. So I've added a little bit in there, but I don't want it too strong. If it was spinach, I would add a lot more, and I may add up some afterwards. Now, you want to get some healthy berries in there, so I'm going to add some frozen mixed berries here. We've got some strawberries and raspberries. So I'm going to add about 2 or 3 tablespoons. Stick that strawberry in. And you'll get that berry flavour. And again, you can just adjust. You can have a play around with what sort of flavour you want, if you want it quite... And berries aren't full of sugar, which is really good. So again, if you get insulin resistance, you don't want to have too much sugar. Berries are very low in sugar, so don't worry about it being too sweet. If you do want to sweeten up, I do put a little bit of banana. It adds a bit of substance, it's good in fibre, and as long as you've got some healthy fats in here, it will lower any sugar spike that you're going to get. So I'm going to stick half a banana in here, like that. I'm going to stick a couple of Brazil nuts, because 2 Brazil nuts a day is really good for fertility. It's full of selenium. I'm going to stick a good ½ teaspoon of cinnamon. Now, cinnamon is really, really, really good for making sure you don't get a sugar spike. You always want to pair cinnamon with fruit, maybe just under ½ teaspoon, otherwise too strong. I like the flavour of cinnamon. If you don't, go slightly less. But I like cinnamon and chocolate together, so I'm kind of going for that cinnamon chocolate flavour. Now we've got chia seeds as well, so this really is sort of a nutritionally packed smoothie. Chia seeds are full of energy, full of the omegas, full of vitamins and minerals, little power packs. So I'm just going to go for 1, sometimes I go for 2, and they're also very good for fibre and helping with stool movement, which is amazing. Now, I've got a few secret ingredients which I'm going to add in here. This is where I need some more teaspoons. I've got some maca. Now what I do is I actually decant quite a lot of stuff into glass jars like this. So if I haven't got the packets, that's why. It's just I don't like too many packets in the cupboard, otherwise I can't tell where anything is. So I've got maca. Maca is an amazing root vegetable. It's an incredible adaptogen, and it's fantastic for you ladies and myself included with endometriosis. It helps us deal with stress, and it's a really good thing to try and get in daily. And maca is 2 ways of taking it. It's really good if you mix it sort of anything with chocolatey. It's kind of got that caramelly flavour. Or the other way of having it is, I really like it with hot milk, so hot milk and chocolate, and it actually, the bioavailability is actually better when it's warmer. So I'm just going to put again, just a ½ teaspoon. I'm not going to go overboard on this. And when you start taking it, it's good to start off with a little bit, not too much, because it is quite strong, just so your body gets used to it. Right, now for the chocolate. So, there's 2 ways that I can add chocolate to the smoothie. I can either go for the powder, or I could go for cacao nibs. So again, they're both cacao, they're not cocoa. Cocoa has lots of sugar in, cacao is the raw form. Cacao nibs are a really good way of cooking. They're also a really good way if you want to just make like a trail mix. You could add the cacao nibs with raisins and some nuts, and that's just a really good way of having those. And again, like I've said before on previous posts and on my blog, they're amazing for boosting your magnesium. We all need a magnesium boost, particularly if you're stressed. Magnesium is, we dump it when we're stressed. If you have insulin resistance, we dump it as well, so we need as much as possible. Now, silly me didn't get more than 1 tablespoon, so I would put a tablespoon in here, so I'm just going to lump in a couple of, about 3 teaspoons equivalent in there, so it's nice and chocolatey. Now, if you eat dairy, you could add some yogurt, or you could add some coconut yogurt if you want it creamy. That's another way of doing this. So we've put in the maca, the chocolate. Secret ingredient. This is amazing. Okay, is I love to use mushrooms. At some point, I'm going to write a blog on them. But mushrooms are just the most amazing things. I'm not going to go into it too much here, but there are so many mushrooms. that you can take, and they are really, really healing. They've got different attributes. Reishi is probably the most studied mushroom on the planet, and it is very good for relaxing the system, for relaxing your nervous system. There's other mushrooms like cordyceps, lion's mane, and they're better for pick-me-ups. This one I've got here is a 7 blend, and it's really good mixed with chocolate. Again, it sort of hides that flavour. I mean, you can use it in cooking, normal cooking, and then it just and use it with mushrooms, for example. But this particular one is a mix. And right, I've just realised I really am running out of spoons. I'm going to have to get a spoon in a minute when I make the other smoothie. So this one is it can be quite strong the first time you use it. So I put in maybe half a teaspoon. So this is a 1/4 teaspoon there, and you won't notice it's in there. And I mean, one of the best things for COVID at the moment as well is mushrooms are amazing for the immune system. So if you can try and get hold of some, blended mushrooms from a good source, you want it from a good source, then this is brilliant. So I think I've got everything that I want in there. Now you just want to add the liquid. So you normally then add like 1 to 2 cups of liquid to your mixture. You could add water. That's absolutely fine, filtered water. I like to make it a bit creamier, so I add milk. This is nut milk that I made earlier, so it's cashew milk. I prefer, for me, to use homemade milk when I can. Obviously there's times where I've run out of time or whatever and I use bought milk, and then when I do buy milk I tend to buy either almond or oat. Because I've got oats in here, if I didn't want too much of a sugar spike I wouldn't use the oat milk, I'd use the almond milk because it's got the nuts, so it adds to that fat there. So just going to add this there. You could just add it directly, but I just sort of want to show you the quantity of liquid. It's quite a lot. If you don't want to use all of that, you could do half milk and half water. There we go, and that takes it up 2 cups. Actually takes it up to the max line anyway. So there we go. I'm going to do a blender, make a bit of noise. Perfect. So let's taste how this is. So lovely and chocolatey. If I was to make that, I'd probably add a little bit more chocolate. And some people might not find that sweet enough, so you might want to add the full banana. It's just you play around with it. And again, you cannot taste any of the greens in there. You could add a lot more greens than that if you want to. So really delicious. Have a play. I haven't zoomed it as much as I normally would because it's quite boring in the video, but so it's a little bit lumpy still, so I would have gone a little bit longer. So this one is really good for your liver, and it's a green one. It's not so sweet. Some of you may or may not like this one so much. So what I do is have a bit of celery. So just chop, and because I'm making it in the smaller one, I'm just going to have to reduce the quantities a bit. So a little bit of celery goes in there. Again, great for liver, great for the skin. Have a little bit of cucumber. So again, I'd probably go for a lot more if I was making a bigger amount. In fact, I'm going to go for 2 bits of cucumber. Beetroot, absolutely amazing for liver detoxification. When you're eating, it's really, really good to have a rainbow diet, have as many different colours as possible. So again, having not just greens, but you want reds and oranges. And for those in my Facebook group, I'm actually covering that at the moment. So anybody that's got endometriosis, wanting to get pregnant, join my Facebook group, Thrive and Conceive with Endometriosis. And over the next couple of weeks, we're actually talking about rainbow foods. And I've recently just posted about red foods. And I think the next one coming up is about orange foods. So I talk about all the vitamin minerals that come with each of the foods. So I'm actually just talking too much and put that whole beetroot in, which if I was doing a big jar, I'd put the whole beetroot in. So I'm just going to put in half the beetroot. I'm going to bung in a little bit of courgette. You don't have to, I just feel like it. Now, one of the things actually I meant to get just before the call, and I forgot to go outside and get it, was some parsley. So parsley is amazing for your liver, so it's a really good one. It's quite strong tasting, so you don't need much. Maybe try it without and then try it with and see if you like it. So I'm going to add, before I add that, broccoli stems. A lot of people don't save their broccoli stems, but you can. And the bit immediately above the florets, all you need to do is just cut down the side, so the hard sort of woody side off, like this. And you get the nice centre bit, and it's nice and soft, just like the end of the florets. So don't waste that, always save them. And quite often what I do is actually chop them off if you're not going to use them, and then stick them in the freezer, ready for when you want to use them as smoothie. So again, I'm going to just stick a little bit of that in there. Now we're going to add a bit of sweet. So I've got some pear here, and my little one likes to have a little bit of pear, so good for saving for smoothies. So I'm going to put a bit of pear and a little bit of apple for the sweetness, because it kind of goes with the green, and a little bit of apple. And then the other thing that's really good is ginger, and if you had some root turmeric, then you could add some root turmeric for inflammation. So already, as you can see, we're quite full. That's the problem with the little ones. Really easy. So this one's a root ginger. So maybe stick a tiny little bit of root ginger here. Depends how spicy kind of you want it. So this, ginger can be quite hot. So I'm actually going to put half of that in. So like that much, just in there. And again, you can just play around with it. So I've got written recipes, and you can write them out. Philippa, you wanted written recipes. I do have written recipes, and I can write them, but it's also just really good. I think the reason why I wanted to do a demonstration is it's just really good for you to work out what you've got left over in the fridge, and what you can mix and match and feel comfortable, because the more that you do it, the more comfortable you feel to experiment. And it is that license to experiment. It's not always about following a recipe. Recipes are a really good idea to give you different inspiration of different ingredients and different flavours, but I think it is really good just to know what kind of things to put in there and what goodness that they offer. What else was I going to add? So we've got all of that. I was going to add some good fats in here. So seeds, really good for good fats, particularly for menstruate, for your periods. Different seeds are good at different times of the month. So if you are in your follicular phase, so your first phase of your cycle, pumpkin seeds are really good. And if you're in your luteal phase, so between ovulation and menstruation, then sunflower seeds are really good. So I'm going to stick in a tablespoon. I'm using my fingers because I'm at home, I'm not in a commercial kitchen. I have those seeds there. If I wanted to add some protein, hemp powder is a really good way of adding some protein into your smoothies. So probably put in a teaspoon of hemp powder. And then super ingredient, which is really good, is spirulina. So by adding spirulina, I'm probably going to make the smoothie a little bit more difficult to eat. But my goodness me, this stuff is amazing, and especially with endometriosis, it's full of vitamin D. It's amazing. It's an algae, from an algae, and you can't get away with how packed full of nutrition it is. You really don't need much. Probably to start with is 1/4 teaspoon. This packet will last you a very long time, to be honest. So 1/4 teaspoon, and it will give it this really rich flavour. So that's why I'm not too worried I haven't got the kale in there, my dark leafy greens, because it's always good to get a dark leafy green in. But because I've added this in, then that's fine. I haven't got as much fat in there actually today as I would normally add. So the other way of doing it is you could add some more nuts. So I might actually add another Brazil nut, because I haven't got the avocado, because I put the avocado in there. So I might have added the avocado to make sure, because by having healthy fats, it also means that you're able to absorb any fat-soluble vitamins, which is really important, because if you don't have the healthy fats, those fat-soluble vitamins will just basically pass through you. So then I'm going to add liquid. I can either add water, or for a super boost, you could go for coconut water. Obviously fresh coconut water is the way forward. I'm going to add half water, half coconut water. This is very good, it's very rehydrating, coconut water is. There we go, and this is going to be a seriously green number. So, there we go. I forgot to put the beetroot in, so it's not going to be green, it's going to be pink. So yeah, of course the beetroot adds that very red flavour and actually overrides the algae. You wouldn't even know it was in there. Actually, that's delicious. That is really, really, really good. And because beetroot is quite sweet as well, it's actually quite sweet, even though I put only a tiny bit of pear, and the pear wasn't that ripe, an apple. But the ginger also lifts it up and sweetens it up. So actually, of the two, I think that's my favourite today. So yeah, so I just really encourage you to experiment with smoothie making. You do need a strong blender. Some of the weaker blenders or even the handheld won't, you know, they wouldn't mix up, for example, a beetroot. Like that was a raw beetroot there. So it is good to invest in a good smoothie maker. They will, you know, warrant you. And something like the NutriBullet, I've travelled, I've gone overseas with it with work, and it's, you know, if you don't know what you're going to be able to eat, you know, when you're going away, for example, this is just a fantastic way of going, right, buy some vegetables when you're away, take a few like key things like some mushrooms or some algae with you, and you can at least have then a healthy smoothie. It'll keep, you know, help you reduce your inflammation. It will also help from a fertility point of view, making sure you up those, you know, your nutrition, and not just fertility, anything. If you're trying to boost your immunity, if you're, you know, any health issues that are going on, smoothie making is just, it's fantastic. It's really, really